Hi everyone, and welcome to this May 2020 comprehensive video. I'm going to talk about some of the insights that I'm getting today. I'm going to channel in some of those insights and also talk about some of the astrological transits. I'm going to do a pick a card. It's going to be a very comprehensive, eccentric video. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you will enjoy this video. If it resonates for you, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button. So as you guys know, I tend to make videos every single month. I talk about the month and I talk about what's coming in for the month and what we can kind of expect. And May of 2020 is a really vital month. This might be one of the most important videos that I've made in a long time because this energy is like really front and center. It's really clear to me. It's not too ambiguous and it's not too hidden. It's really making itself obvious. You know, the momentums, the paths, the karma that we're all facing, that we're all working with, those things should be becoming really obvious now. Okay, so working with the obvious is the first thing that I'm going to say for May of 2020. You shouldn't really have to make things too complicated for yourself. It really shouldn't be something that's, again, very ambiguous or hard to understand. Basically, the choices you need to make, the realities that you're facing, the things that are coming up have really good reasons. Okay, if you've had an ending, if you've had a lot of frustrations, if you've had a lot of upheavals, or pain, there's been like a good reason for it. It really needs to motivate you to make a change. If things have been really nice, if things have felt, at least okay, as we've all been dealing with societal issues, quarantines, fear, illness, lapse in economy, we're dealing with those things. So I can't really say that anybody maybe just has a really incredible experience right now. Or a perfect experience, shall we say. There's a lot of really incredible experiences happening. But anyway, it's all for good reason, what's happening in the month of May. It's all for good reason. And there's a really powerful demand here because we went through Aries season in April and we were really held back during Aries season, and that's odd. Like there was a sadness to that reality, and I do think we're going to be a lot less held back once we get into May. So the beginning of May to me feels very similar to what April was, so maybe don't expect a huge shift, but I think by about the time we get to May 10th as Saturn goes retrograde, okay, which I'll make a video about once we get closer, once we get there, things are going to kind of actually go back to some idea of what we considered normal, and especially once it gets back into Capricorn. So as we move into the summer, even after May as well, we're going to feel that what we used to consider normal or status quo, we're going to feel that re-enters a little bit. But there's something really vital about it and vital about the choices that we make. I feel this month to be kind of like a lifeblood type of month. Like we find our lifeblood here, or we find a new motivation, or we find like a really genuine discovery. It does to me feel like a month of discovery because it feels like the energy of Aries lingers into Taurus season because it doesn't feel channeled well to me. So it's going to be a very strong consolidation of Aries and Taurus energy, because as most of you know, May is Taurus season, and then at the end of May we go into Gemini. So Taurus is about passive reception, okay? It's about being given by the universe. It's about simplicity. It's about unarguable, easy and simple passive truths, okay? It's about tangible rewards. That's what this time of year deals with. So a lot of us are going to be rewarded. A lot of us are going to be given things, given money. There's probably going to be a lot more stimulus money, that type of thing. There's going to be a lot of spending as well. And despite obviously having really difficult economic problems, which will probably get a bit worse through May, there's going to be like a lot at the same time. And it's going to actually cause confusion in the long run. But as it pertains to May, I don't think that this is a particularly problematic month. I think that this is a very giving month, and I think that it's a vital month in the fact that we have to really start to heal our hearts here, okay? That might sound a little bit like cheesy if it's not understood completely. When I say heal the heart, I mean like the heart chakra, okay? We had been healing throat chakra for a long time. We had been dealing with solar plexus and now collectively it feels to be in the heart. So it's kind of like a pulse point, what I feel. May to me feels to be like a pulse point. It feels to be like a very, like within one heartbeat or within one hit of a pulse, there's like a shift or a change or a revealing, like an inflicted revealing of where we need to go or what we need to do. And I truly feel that it's not a difficult choice, or that it's not too constrained. Okay, I'm not feeling a lot of constraint. We'll have Saturn going retrograde in May, as I was saying, which is going to cause us to disconnect from, responsibility to some degree as well. We're going to look at responsibility in a different way. We're going to look at the previous status quo of our lives in a new way during May. We're going to look back at how we were before the illnesses, before this mass collective problem that has changed our life so much. We're going to be looking back to how things were before that happened and discovering that there was a lot of maybe misery or suffering there too. And we are going to actually be given an opportunity to go back to exactly how things were before that happened in some way. And maybe that's just a matter of headspace, or maybe that's just a matter of relationships with the people closest to us. It's like it goes back to the way that it was before, or there's an opportunity for it to do that. But through that, we also see like, wait, that's not good either. So yeah, Saturn retrograde, we're not going to really feel a strong connection to our momentum, or feel a strong connection to the ways that we've like made money or sustained ourselves or gotten through previously. So yeah, we start to see that this time, and the big elephant in the room that we're facing at this time, we're going to see that while bringing a lot of like insidious pain, is also just really revealing the dissatisfaction that was already present. So I think that a lot of people were living lives that were really incongruent with their hearts, and really living lives that were incongruent with their pulse as well, or with their internal rhythm. Because when I think of the pulse, or when I think of the heart, it's the rhythm setter. It sets the rhythm and it adjusts appropriately to stimulus. So when our hearts are out of alignment, or when the heart chakra is out of alignment, we lose rhythm, we lose a natural adjusting ability, we lose the ability to adjust properly. So panic disorders, anxiety disorders, endocrine disorders, and we also see that something that shouldn't make us panic makes us panic, and something that should make us panic doesn't make us panic. So that's the sign of a misaligned heart, and that's what May is ultimately out to remedy. Okay, so this is beautiful. May is basically a remedy for a broken heart, or a remedy for the loss of adjustment ability. So this is beautiful. This is incredible. And that's part Saturn in Aquarius as well. It's seeing those first 2 degrees of Saturn in Aquarius in completion, and then because it's the Leo Aquarius axis, which is like the heart and the mind. So it's structuring around the heart, but then it's getting pulled back to test us again. So we're going to be tested to see if we'll betray our hearts again with the Saturn retrograde. We'll talk more about that in a different video when it gets closer to time. But that's what May is dealing with. It's starting that pattern. And by the time we build up to Leo time, so July and August, that's going to need to be crowned, and that's going to need to be complete in some way. So May to August looks like a time of healing the heart, basically, healing broken heart. Also maybe like physically healing the heart. So working with healing the blood pressure, or some kind of deficiency that is negatively impacting the heart or something. It could be totally physical, or it could be totally spiritual, but they usually are congruent in some way. So if your heart chakra is out of alignment, yeah, that's usually coming out as an anxiety disorder, or a, physical heart problem like arrhythmias, or, tachycardia, bradycardia, anything like that. which can have other causes as well. Again, that's very connected to the throat chakra and the thyroid too. So there is that, you see the heart connecting to the throat. So you could also be having throat chakra problems, but the throat chakra has actually gone onto the back burner a little bit collectively, and it's different for every person. But it's become much more heart-oriented, or at least it stands to be in May. The throat chakra was really front and center ever since about 2018, and now it's becoming more about the heart chakra, so we're moving down. What that also means to me is that a lot of humanity's consciousness is moving down as well. So we've got to watch out for those negative thoughts, all right? So I'll talk a little bit about that for a second. Negative thoughts, or the inability to control visualization as well, that is going to be something that has to be worked with in May too, because I feel that that's the symbol that I'm seeing with the collective movement from the throat chakra to the heart chakra. It's a downward movement, so the mind has to move down as well, or is tempted to move down, and we might be kind of challenged to keep that a pure process. So really think about maybe in April where your thoughts were going. I think for a lot of people, they were in the gutter, honestly, so it makes sense that there's a downward motion energetically. So not for everybody were they in the gutter, but I think that what I sensed psychically was that there was a lot of catharsis with the mind, and there was a lot of visualization that does really have an impact on people's individual paths, and you could see that it kind of messes things up in the future too, if you can't kind of elevate it. So as we descend into the heart chakra, okay, we have to elevate our minds. And you see, the chakra system is very complex, but it works in a beautiful type of synergy where we might see a collective dissension into the heart. But as that happens, the crown chakra really flowers and gains a new type of perception or connection to what is higher up. So as we descend, we elevate. And yeah, for some people, that does look like a big change in physical circumstances. Upsizing, having a nicer surroundings. Maybe some people, if the quarantines are lifted, if they are having a move or are having a change in surroundings, or making their life more beautiful, or finally resolving old conflicts with people around them. Basically, I feel as we get out of April and firmly into May, so by around like May 10th and to May 15th, things should really start to resolve, and there should be a really firm direction, a really firm momentum in place that makes us feel more comfortable. And that's what I want us all to strive for, is to implement that, okay? Taurus season, which we are definitely in by the time we're watching this video. At least, we might even be in Gemini season for some of you watching this then. Taurus season is about things being kind, comfortable, and given, and fixed, and unquestionable, okay? So by now, we should kind of feel like we've made a decision, or we've set a plan into action or something, because Aries season really demands a plan of action. Taurus season demands implementation of said action. Gemini season then demands like the mental discovery that comes after the implementation, and then Cancer season is getting at home with it. It goes getting at home with what you implemented, feeling at home with it, feeling settled into it. It goes in a very divine order. And that's all that we can really look to in a time of honestly crisis that we've been going through, is to find some amount of divine order and rest within these pains that we've gone through, because I think that April really gave a lot of upheaval to a lot of people. I think that it was really hard to channel the Aries energy appropriately, having to be homebound for a lot of us. And I think that there were a lot of bad things, and I think that there were a lot of things that people will have to deal with for many years now. A lot of karmic implications that will have a long resolution period. Unless, okay, we can understand it, or make the choice and implement what's needed to be done for a long time now, or at least have that plan of action ready to be implemented. I suppose that could, because again, some of us can't just make huge changes right now. And I think that towards the end of May and as we get into June, things are really going to free up. That's what I'm hoping. That's what it kind of feels like right now, but it's not a given, okay? It's not set in stone at all, but it's still very possible. The next intuitive message I want to touch on for May of 2020 that I just heard really clearly, it's two words: knowing now, okay? knowing now. What do you know now as you come into May? What truths about your life and about your needs and about the future do you know now? This is like a huge thing for so many people, and it's really simple. Those are my favorite intuitive messages. Why get super complex and wordy about things? You know, what do we know now? What do we know about ourselves, know about the people around us, know about the environment that we're in? Because as we know, as I was just talking about, May goes from Taurus to Gemini. So there's also usually not in the beginning of May, but towards the end of May, there's a understanding that comes to light. There's a gift of knowledge. Taurus is like a gift and Gemini is like knowledge. So gift of knowledge. We suddenly know something. And some of you might even feel this coming out of April, or you might feel it coming on even if it isn't the knowledge yet. But I really think that there are going to be gifts for a lot of people in May of finally knowing how to use their energy. You know, what do I want to do? All of this solitude and all of this time at home and all of this, meal preparation has really led us to work with ourselves and led us to see how we create for ourselves, how we can make for ourselves, how angry we might be to have to do it, how, happy we might be to do it sometimes as well. And within that is a lot of answers about how we are as people and how we are as individuals. And those answers let us know what changes we need to make in our lives. So it's really great how in Taurus season things can be so simple. Just through cooking a meal for yourself, you can really see where you need to be in the future, the choices that you want to make and the things that you maybe never need to be upset at again, maybe some of the things that we took for granted. Okay. Sometimes we see that we've taken things for granted in Taurus season, especially moving into Gemini season. We see I was really upset at those people for doing that, but in reality, I was really getting a lot out of that. And there was a bit of an indulgence in that anger, because within, Taurus energy, there is anger as well. The bull can be a very temperamental creature too. It is very kind and very mellow and very appeasing. It's very much the energy of appeasing and being appeased, but it can also be very violent and angry. So you can usually see that within the Taurus energy. Maybe we're really angry and violent if we're not just appeased within the Taurus energy as well. So small things, it might be really nice to let trivial things, just let them be bygones. It's a great to let bygones be bygones at this time too, while knowing now how we need to move into the future so that the same eruptions don't occur again. Because I just think that Aries season was so volcanic, so eruptive, so a lot of people got hurt during April. And I felt that coming on when I made the April video. Of course, I wasn't going to say things like that because for me as a spiritual intuitive, I really don't like saying, this month is going to be bad and people are going to be really hurt and there's going to be a lot of chaos and, people are going to die and things like that. I don't say things like that because, self-fulfilling prophecies are a thing and I'm just not going to say things like that. But in hindsight, okay, now that we're moving into May, there was a lot of death and destruction in April, okay? A lot of energy of death and destruction because the Aries energy is also connected to Scorpio energy. They share the rulership of Mars. If you didn't see my Mars video, go check that out. I'll link it below, and in the top right hand corner I did a whole video on Mars. But yeah, sometimes if Aries doesn't get its way, it becomes very angry, volatile, and dangerous. Okay, so there are a lot of dangerous experiences in April. In fact, I feel a lot of us are lucky to be, flourishing if we still are. So, and then some of us have not been too lucky with that. So moving out of that, now we know, okay? Now we know where the problems in our lives are. Now we know where, what changes we need to make. So this is beautiful in the sense that without having had those experiences, many of us would just keep going on in perpetuity, in continuity, forever, in these situations that just don't quite feel right. But it's like an elephant in the room. But no, April made it really obvious. So now we know, okay? Now we know. Last intuitive message that I want to talk about before we get into the next section of the video is fresh starts, okay? We went through the double one energy. We survived that. I've talked about double one for the last few months that April represented. And that should have introduced the beginning of a new fresh start to some degree, or the knowledge of how it needs to happen. And what I want to say about the fresh start is not really what that encompasses, because it's going to be different for every person, But the fact that it can seem hard or like blessed for everybody, okay? So this could feel really hard for some people. You know, I think that breakups have happened for some people. I think that certain families have maybe been torn apart. I think that some people will never have the same like income that they had before, or the value of money may never be what it used to be. So there are like difficulties, okay? And it could seem really hard, but I also feel that it gives every bit as much as it takes, as that is the nature of the universe. So to have some of these old status quo, you know, situations that were going on and on and on, to have those stripped, there's also a giving, okay? And I think that these givings are beautiful. So, you know, some of us don't have the same connection or the same relationship that we had before, but now we have this incredible garden, or now we have this incredible new living space, or now we have this incredible new source of income, perhaps, or whatever it is. Like, there is substance here, okay? Really, really beautiful substance for everybody, especially for everybody that's been taken from, or for everybody that's been forced through some kind of like really psychologically or physically devastating experience that April became for a lot of people. There are gifts, okay? And especially if we can really see our part that we've played, or especially if we can know now what all led to it, and really also still exercise kindness, grace, and care in all of that. It's really connected to wherewithal. You know, Saturn's going retrograde back into Capricorn, so it's not really easy to be graceful or kind or caring in these situations. That's not easy. Like, I think it's easy to be very upset and to be, you know, I don't know, just really volatile. Like, that's easy, and that's a given for a lot of people. But can we really still act with care and grace and salvage those kind aspects of humanity throughout this? I think that that's the challenge, and I think that the people who can do that, and it's hard, like, it's not just a given for anybody, like, it takes effort, but the people who can do that are really going to not want for much and not need a lot of other people to hold them up. There's a lot of, like, independence off of that. So it could seem hard, or it could seem beautiful. It's up to you, okay? It's up to you. And that wasn't a planned intuitive message for me, but it's up to every person. Like, things aren't just given, but they're given once we make the choice, okay? But it's up to us to continue acting in a way, and continue caring, and continue being graceful within our actions so that we can receive. All right? That's what Taurus energy is all about. Or, you know, the bull can have a temper tantrum and stampede the farmer, and then very unfortunate things will happen to that bull. You know, it's like, it's no longer on the farm anymore. So yeah, we have to really understand what we want to keep in our lives and what we want to sustain. And if we truly want to sustain the things that are in our lives, because things don't really stay here if they don't want to be sustained. You know, if we don't treat them with care, if we don't treat things with care, they don't stay right now. You know, that cow that stampeded the farmer might be sold off or something, and it's no longer going to be on those pastures anymore. And, you know, bad things can then happen. So yeah, that's basically a big pearl of wisdom, I think, for May, is we have to treat kindly the things that we want to keep in our lives. And we have to also understand that the fresh starts that we find ourselves in, to bring the message back to center, we have to understand that those fresh starts are indications of grace and indications of kindness as well. So for those of us who are starting over or having some really brand new experience coming in, we have to really rise to the standard, or rise to the moment, rise to the occasion, and get past some old demons, or get past some old afflictions that keep us suffering, because there's just no space for it now in the current paradigm. Like, there's no space for the old suffering story that goes on forever. You know, we all have the opportunity, or stand to have the opportunity, to make good changes and to really receive a lot of benevolence. And there's no reason to feel too bad about it at this point in time, honestly. Like, it can be basically, even for those of us who aren't making huge changes or completely changing our lives, I feel that things can be better than we're giving ourselves credit for. And I think that things can really be a lot more just graceful and kind. So yeah, striving for grace, care, and kindness in the month of May will only reward us. So last thing I want to mention before we get into the tarot portion is just a little bit of the astrology, and that we've been in complete direct motion for a while in April too. So yeah, we have a lot of retrogrades that will be catching up to us in May. It's not just going to be Saturn, but it's going to be Venus, it's going to be Jupiter, it's going to be Pluto, and the North Node as well. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of retrogrades coming in, and it's going to be sudden. So yeah, that could honestly just like suddenly being pushed back to normalcy. That could be a way that plays out. But it's also going to, bring a lot of wake up calls, as retrogrades tend to do. And I will make probably a video about the retrograde motions, or some of them, just depending on what I think is really coming up prevalently. But yeah, why that's important to mention in the video is because maybe we need to make some decisions while planets are still in direct motion. So if you're getting this video at late April, maybe it's time to make some, at least, decisions for the future during that time, because I don't really see that like sudden decisions made during like mass retrogrades ever really have a good fruition. So we need to kind of be putting our mind into a place and maybe making space to make plans, at least before we get into like mid-May. So by like May 10th, before Saturn goes retrograde, you might really want to have a good idea of what your next few months look like. As much as you can. It's not going to be possible for everybody, but as much as you can, just sort of knowing and sort of accepting where you're at will be a good way to move into that retrograde time. And you might even be able to use the year of 2019 as a reference point, okay? And I think that I will actually link a video that I made last year about the quintuple retrograde season that we had in 2019, because we're going to have a similar version of that. So it might be good to look back to that period of time. That would have been the summer of 2019, and I'll link that video below. It would be good to maybe do some past work with that and understand how you were feeling then, and be able to correlate those karmic implications to now and make decisions based off of that. So that would be really good. Anyway, let's go ahead and move into the tarot portion. I have a pick a card coming up. I've shuffled and I've laid 3 cards out. They are face down. I haven't seen them yet. And it's going to go from left to right. Card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3. So take a second to meditate on those and decide which one you might like to check, or one that you feel drawn to. Okay, so card number 1, your month of May is channeling through the energy of 2 of Pentacles. So what does this mean? Yeah, this is indecisiveness, and it's okay. I don't want you to freak out too much about it. I'm kind of there too. A lot of people are there. We can't really know exactly the specific path forward, and to a degree that is a sign that we've maybe overstayed somewhere, okay, or we've overdone ourselves or overplaced ourselves energetically somewhere. So now's a time to maybe resolve some of those old like fixations, or resolve some of those old addictions, or resolve some of those old like over concentrations in our life, so that we can clear the space and understand a more direct path through. 2 of Pentacles to me indicates that we've kind of lost the thread to a degree too. And that's not bad. It happens to all of us. But also, I think with 2 of Pentacles, our vision is a little bit skewed because of the turbulence of the past. So if you see in the background of the card, there's a lot of turbulent waters, and the ships are like trying to navigate through that. And to me, 2 of Pentacles says that we've just come past that. And maybe we're indecisive right now because we are feeling scattered, or we're feeling chaotic about something. So maybe now's not the best time to force yourself into anything, or to force yourself to make a decision about anything. You might be juggling a lot. There might be a lot on your plate. And I think that the most important thing for the month of May for somebody who's chosen 2 of Pentacles is to start to minimalize a little bit, okay? To start to take some things off of the plate if possible, to tone things back, or to pull things back just a little bit, so that we understand what is a necessity and what isn't in our life. If there's too much on the plate, or if there's too much to deal with, I think that it's going to be hard to make a decision. Also with 2 of Pentacles, if you've chosen card number 1, I think that you need to take some pressure off of yourself too. I think that you need to understand your humanity, and I think that you need to understand that sometimes the perfect decision is not always there, or not always in our perception, and sometimes a decision is better than no decision, even if it's not the perfect decision. So maybe we need to take emphasis off of what the perfect decision is, and allow ourselves to move forward with just as much of as much perception and as much precision as we can, obviously. It doesn't mean to go recklessly making decisions, but I think there can be stagnation with this card too, because we're like stuck at the crossroads and we're not satisfied with the paths that are laid out in front of us, so we're just going to stand still. I think that we do have to choose a path during May. I think it's very clear that we have to choose a path in May. So one path is better than no path, okay? Even if it's not perfect. So find a path for yourself, get rid of the things you no longer like, and allow yourself to move forward, basically. Allow yourself to move forward. I think by choosing this card with the energy of the month of May, this says to me that we're not really trusting in ourselves too wonderfully, or we're not really accepting the capability or power that we do have. We're afraid that the decisions are going to define us, that we're not going to define the decisions. So sit with that for a while and really step into the place of, defining your own path versus allowing maybe these inanimate things or these other people to define it for you. Okay. That will conclude my brief interpretation of card number 1. Card number 2, if you chose card number 2, you've got the 8 of Cups. So yeah, just put very simply, I feel that 8 of Cups is great for the month of May, and I've felt this strongly, fresh start, leaving something behind, starting anew, having a move. If you chose this card, maybe it is time to reinvent your life or reinvent yourself. If it's not time for a move, or if it's not time for a change in physical space, I think it's time for a change in your space. Maybe in your house you have a different routine, or you have a different regiment, or you have a different way of moving through, or new renovations or something. Or, it would look like a physical move or a change in career. Something cannot go on the same, though, in the month of May if you've chosen card number 2. So it's really important to sit with that and sit with what you think is no longer acceptable, or what you think is no longer authentic or no longer right for you. Because if that stays the same during the month of May, that could be chaotic in the future. So you really want to not overstay. 8 of Cups is really, when 8 of Cups is working well, when that energy is working well, it's somebody who doesn't overstay, someone who really knows when the time to leave is. And sometimes the time to leave or the time to stop is not when things have gone awry, or not when things have gone absolutely horrendous. And that's what 8 of Cups teaches us, because we do have to leave things behind, or we do have to make a bit of a judgment call sometimes, and not necessarily, be receiving a lot when we leave something. It really teaches us that the appropriate time to finish, or the appropriate time to make a change, is not when all odds are stacked against us, or when we feel that we have nothing, but it's when we know that we have to implement ourselves elsewhere. I honestly feel like 8 of Cups is like the remedy to 2 of Pentacles. So card number 1 was 2 of Pentacles. So if you were struggling with that, or if you were struggling with indecisiveness, or a really turbulent past, or something that's not really understandable, I think 8 of Cups is your key forward. Okay. Also, I think the 8 of Cups indicates a lot of nocturnal experiences. So maybe sometimes we have to leave by night, or we have to go by night or something, or we have to, enjoy our night times, or just really exhale during the night, meditate during the night, sleep better. So the nighttime is always oriented, and sometimes traveling by night, or maybe even using the moon phase to help your decision-making process. Again, the moon is in the 8 of Cups as well. So you might feel very connected to the moon, or you might feel like maybe during the new moon is when you want to do this, or make the changes that you want to make, or during the full moon perhaps, because that's what's depicted on the 8 of Cups. So maybe going by moon phase is really good as well. So yeah, 8 of Cups, probably time for a change, probably time for a journey, or some kind of a solitary time as well. It's like the minor arcana version of the Hermit too. So maybe watch out for being too dependent on others, or watch out for expecting that there's going to be a lot of people around you, or a lot of assistance too. I think that 8 of Cups really says that we have to get things done on our own, and find our own strength and our own power and capability to make changes. All right. Also this could look like feeling like you've lost friends, or you've lost relationships too. And that's only come because you need to, again, show yourself your own strength and resolve. So as you establish your own strength and resolve, those things will return as well. Okay, I will conclude my speech about 8 of Cups. Okay, if you chose card number 3, you got the Emperor. Okay, so I love that. The Emperor is going to really empower you. You're going to maybe have really made some good decisions during April and during Aries season, and now you have a lot of capability and a lot of ability to just be the executive of your own life, to be the power force behind yourself. I think that the Emperor says that there, again, are decisions that need to be made, and there are like maybe things that you have to calculate or things that you have to really ruminate on with the month of May. I think that you have to maybe reclaim your power or take your power back as well. And I think that you then have to use it to get better or use it to make your life better as well. It's like the reclaiming of power and then the use of it. So it's not necessarily holding on to it for too long or keeping it inside, but it is sort of like allowing the I don't know, the inner power that you've received over the last few months maybe to really affect your life and to really start making more changes. So yeah, also with the Emperor, the father figure is going to be indicated as well. So maybe there's something that you need to do with your father or something that you need to make clear. It could be a boundary or it could be assistance as well. Maybe you need to assist them or you need to ask for help there too. I think that the father is indicated as a solution, not as a problem causer, but as a solution perhaps as well in your life right now. This can also look like authority in general. So obviously with what we've been going through, there are a lot of resentments toward authority and a lot of, support or resentment toward authority. And I think that if you've chosen this card, it's probably time to think about your own relationship with authority and the authority that you feel that you have over your own life as well. Those things might be up for reinvention or for reformation or something. I think that you have to really understand where the authority actually is. Is it this person that you don't know too well, or is it you, or is it the family? There's always a family implication with the Emperor as well. So how much power is your family having over you? How much power is your father having over you? How much power is our authority figures or bosses in your career having over you? It's all about hierarchy. It's all about chain of command, things like that. So I think that this could also emphasize maybe asking for a raise or having a new boss or even becoming like the boss of your own life, becoming self-employed. That could be indicated. Basically a change or the prevalence of new authority figures in your life, whether that's you or other people. So May needs to kind of maybe reinvent your feelings of authority and maybe who is actually authorized to do certain things in your life. That's going to really be a lot of what May is about. And then just really crowning yourself and letting yourself become, sovereign in your own life as much as you can, and showing and finding where you can take control. So this could be the most important thing for if you picked card number 3, maybe seeing where you actually have a lot of power and control in your life. Oftentimes people who are upset about others having control over them or others having power over them, they won't take their power and utilize it, or they won't put it where it needs to be. They won't, maybe it's great to take power over your diet or great to take power over your energy or the hours that you work, and really show that you can take power over those things. And as you show yourself that, you'll then be able to feel that you have authority elsewhere in your life too. So, but watch out for control dynamics too. Is there maybe a coping mechanism there too? Do I need authority to cope? Do I need control to cope? The Emperor can sometimes indicate that. So what a great time to maybe also release anything dealing with authority, if you could, in your own mind as well, and just kind of start to live and start to feel healthy and start to work on your health. Having authority over your health, I think, is one of the most powerful things in life, because how we feel in the present moment is, there's a lot more to that than we know. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much. That will conclude my brief speech on card number 3. And thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video on the month of May. Long video. I'm trying to do long videos because we're having premieres every Friday. It gives us a lot of time to catch up and a lot of time to speak and a lot of time to have fun. I'm not sure how long the social distancing will continue. I'm trying to do this as long as it does so that we have socialization that's totally safe. I feel really passionate about providing that. But I had only originally thought to do this for the month of April, but depending on how long this goes on, I may keep up. Let me know in the comments below if you would like it to go on or if you like these videos, and also like the video if you like them. Your subscribes and comments and likes make my day. And if you want to check out the description box below, I have a few things. I have a Patreon page where you can help support this content as well as receive weekly tea chats. I'm doing tea chats every Saturday. I'm giving early access to my YouTube YouTube videos. I'm giving general readings. May general readings are going up on Patreon too. I think as the time this video is going up, they should all be over there. So if you want to get your May general reading for your sign early and ad-free, that's on Patreon. There's 12 of them. You can get your Sun, Moon, Rising sign, and you can see every single thing that I post on Patreon with your one subscription fee. So it's a service that I'm really proud of right now, and I'm really proud to offer it to you guys as well. I have an ebook called Moon Symbols. If you'd like to check that out, that's below in the description box. And I'm also on social media. It's all below. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will talk to you soon. Much love. Bye.